Welcome to another episode of Tried by Fire, where we start the episode in a different spot than usual. Proverbs 17:3, it says, "The finding pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord trieth the hearts." So just like gold and silver are tried by fire, by flames, our faith is also tried by trials by fire. We call trials fire. In case you haven't caught on to that, fires equals trials. Trials equals fires. Anyway, let's continue in our series. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse number 9 says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken." Today we're going to look at relationships. We've seen some very unpleasant sides of Solomon throughout this series so far. These set of verses here shows us a little bit of a different side of Solomon than what we've been reading in the past few lessons. These verses kind of show his wisdom, but the intent of these verses are the same still as was in the beginning of this series. In Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 8, the verse literally before this, it says, "There is one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother. Yet is there no end of all his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches. Neither saith he, For whom do I labor, and bereave my soul of good? This is also vanity, yea, it is a sore travail." There should be togetherness and unity. We should be able to have unity with one another, with our fellow laborers. Two are definitely better than one. What is the song? How's the song go? You've heard the song before, right?
Two heads are better than one.
Anyway, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can just go off and find whoever you want to be your friend and say, "Hey, you're going to help me through life." In fact, if we are not very careful about who we choose, we can end up getting into some very, very bad spots. Even though we are in unity with those people for a time, it will only last for a time. In Psalms 57:6, it says, "They have prepared a net for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They have digged a pit before me, into the midst whereof they are fallen themselves." Selah. David, who was Solomon's father, knew exactly how it felt to be betrayed by the enemy. And oftentimes, the people that he cared about the most were the people that tried to hurt him the most. In Psalms 37:1, it says, "Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass." Our desire when somebody mistreats us, or when somebody tries to hurt us, should not be to instantly try and get even. Show love, show compassion. In Romans 12:19, it says, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." Christians should be a good example of unity. It's better to be around someone who will tell you the truth in love, even if it's going to hurt your relationship and hurt your feelings, than to be around people who will lie to you to just flatter you. Amos 3:3 says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" Even Christian friends should prove their mentality towards the things of God, their spiritual level. In 2 Corinthians 13:5, it says, "Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobate?" I want to warn, and I don't want to do this in a loving way, be very careful about who you spend time with, even in the faith. Every Christian should have the mindset of, I want to go out and tell somebody the gospel. 2 Corinthians 6:14-18 says, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers." A lot of people think that these verses, or these set of verses, speak about marriage, but it doesn't. It speaks about just believers in general. It says, "For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing. And I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. So we have to be very careful about who we're spending time with. In Ephesians 5:11 it says, "And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them." A marriage, a friendship, a relationship, and in a family will not work if there is no salvation in the members. John 6:63 says, "It is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life." It must be truth that sets the standard of why we are together, why we're working together, and why we're striving forth in this world. Charles Spurgeon said, "A chorus of ecumenical voices keep harping the unity tune. What they are saying is Christians of all doctrine, shades, and belief must come together in one visible organization, regardless. It doesn't matter what your background is. Unite, unite is what they're shouting. Such teaching is false, reckless, and dangerous. Truth alone must determine our alignments. Truth comes before unity. Unity without truth is hazardous." Philippians 3:2 it says, "Beware of dogs. Beware of evil workers. Beware of the concisions, people that work alongside you that you don't even realize may be evil." He says, beware, because they're there. They're right next to you. They may be even teaching you something, or they may be even good friends of yours, or they may be even family members, or they may be your pastor, or they may be your parent. 1 Peter 3:8 says, "Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous." Have one mind, to love each other, to be able to help each other, unify each other, lift each other up, so that we have one thing in focus. 1 Corinthians 1:10 says, "Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment." There is only one mind to follow. There is only one thing to follow. There's only one person to follow. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in you all. If we look at verse 10, it says, "For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow." When we read this verse, the label fellow indicates a person in the same position. It's assumed that there's going to be a time when they fall, or when one of them falls. What happens is we're with somebody in unity. When the spiritual person falls, the less spiritual person will leave. They're more concerned about themselves and their own fall than they are about their fellow laborers. And some may say, "Well, I've never seen that happen." I don't believe that would happen, especially at a church, or Christians wouldn't do that. That's crazy. I mean, just try and put on an event at a church that nobody's ever done before and nobody's ever seen before, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. When everyone starts walking the opposite direction or throws their hands up and says, "This is crazy, I can't believe that they're doing this," type of thing. We must unite in truth and love for the Lord. Philippians 1:27 says, "Only let your conversation be as it becometh the gospel of Christ, that whether I come and see you or else be absent, I may hear of your affairs, that ye stand fast in one spirit with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel." We should be in a position relationship-wise with Christians where if one fails, the other can help the other back up so that they're able to move forward for the things of God, not leave them in the ditch. What is it in Toy Story?
A good soldier never leaves a man behind.
I don't believe that there's any better picture of unity than in the marriage, in a Christian marriage, a godly marriage. In Genesis 2:18, we see the woman come into play. We see the woman come in to the picture. Sounds weird the other way around. Genesis 2:18 says, "And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him." It is through the sanctity of holy matrimony that unity can be the most rewarding. Holy matrimony is not holy if it's on the basis of fleshly desire. Even I waited to marry. We didn't really even know why we were waiting to marry, other than we just wanted it to be our decision. We wanted it to be something that we decided to do, not what everyone else decided that we should do. I'm glad we waited. We were saved, and then we got married. And if we didn't wait and we got married before salvation, the vows and the marriage would have really been a sham. Before salvation, if I were to cheat on my wife, she would never be wiser to it. And really, to be honest, I mean, why would I feel guilty about it? I made promises, sure, on our vows, but those promises were only to her, and she would never know. But after salvation, when we got married, those promises weren't just made to her. Those promises were made to God as well, that she'd be the only one for me for the rest of my life, and vice versa. Now, if I were to cheat on her, I would I know that she wouldn't know, but I would know that God would know. And that's more frightening to me than knowing that you would know. That marriage is so much more meaningful, and those promises that you make to each other are promises that you make to each other with God, and that makes it so that those promises are 10 times more powerful, more meaningful. Ecclesiastes 5 verse 4, it says, "When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay." Well, that's it. That's all I got. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, you can leave them in the down there, as usual. And if you don't, leave me a comment anyway. Say hi. I don't know how to end this, so goodbye.